Reclaiming Catholic Intimacy, formerly Charting Toward Intimacy, covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised. If we are taking this story that's completely outside of our sexual relationship and we are allowing that to influence our sexual relationship, we're adding a third person into sex.
It's not even just like, okay, you're just adding this third person. It's really like you're going to someone else to get you ready for your husband, right? Like that's even more twisted when you really think about it, right? Like, hey, husband, you're not quite doing it for me. Let me just go to this guy, this thing, that'll get me ready, and then I'll come over to you and we can handle it, right?
Welcome to Reclaiming Catholic Intimacy, the podcast for Catholic women that helps you improve your sex life, strengthen your marriage, and embrace God's design for love. My name is Ellen Holloway, and joining me today is my semi-regular co-host, Kathleen Chovanes. All right, romance novels.
I think the last...
Ladies, we cannot.
No.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
The last romance novel I read was a very long time ago. I think it was before I was even married, maybe. And it was The Bridges of Madison County.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I read a book actually fairly recently because it was actually, and I'm not going to mention like the name of the book or the author because I don't want to I don't know.
Yeah.
But the book was brought to my attention as something called minty romance, as in not explicit. And the idea was that it was like okay to read as, you know, a Catholic woman. It's written by a Catholic author. And because it doesn't, you know, like it doesn't explicitly go into the scenes and therefore it's fine. And here's the thing. I read that book and I found myself getting real wrapped up in those characters.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to this book in a little bit, but it was absolutely not okay to be reading that book. It was not. And so let's talk about what is going on in romance novels and like the TV shows like Bridgerton. What's that other one? Outlander. Oh, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, 100%. Yeah.
I don't even know. I'm sure there's many, many more. I don't
really watch them. I don't watch them.
I do recall. I recall when Bridgerton, I saw it like when it first came out. And I like saw the like picture of it on Netflix, and I was like, "Oh, that looks super fun."
Exactly the same. That's exactly what I did.
Like a period piece, like
a BBC
that looks
sort
super
of,
fun.
Yeah.
So I like clicked on it, and like the first scene is like all these sisters like getting ready to go, and they're like yelling at each other, and they're in these big poofy dresses. And I'm like, I'm totally gonna love this.
Yeah.
And then it was like
the opening scene.
I don't know, 2 minutes in, 30 seconds in, or something, and I was like, whoa, what is going on? And at first I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like a quick scene to show that like this is the promiscuous brother.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't. And I was like, okay, so I'm not watching this show.
I remember the exact same thing. It was like you weren't even 5 minutes into the episode. And it was like, you were like, oh, there's
fast.
A butt already. Yeah. So what I think should be said before we even get into like why this is wrong is that we really tend to think that, well, as long as it's not hardcore porn, if it's not blatantly porn, then like it's not that bad, right? Like we're adults, we're grown-ups, we can deal with sexuality, right? Like, so these innuendos or, I mean, granted, I don't know. You could probably make the argument that Bridgerton has some actual porn in it, but, and most of these shows, right? Like
I've heard it called softcore porn.
Softcore porn. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And I've heard that from like some very porn positive sex people.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, you should watch Bridgerton because I mean it's softcore porn. Like it's amazing.
It's not like explicit.
So it's like if the porn people.
Yeah.
If the porn people are calling it porn,
yeah,
friends, it's porn.
Yeah. But even these things like you're saying, like this minty romance, right? That like, oh, well, it's not explicit. Like it, it still kind of like gets you a little bit turned on, but without any sort of explicit detail. Why is that so wrong? It's not really that. It's not even really porn, right? So I think that's the question we need to answer.
And that is exactly the issue. Is that we're letting something external get us turned on. That's not the design of arousal. Like arousal is designed within the context of a marriage. It's not designed for some external piece like a TV show or a book.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a lot of times we hear the like, well, men are visual and women aren't. And so like, women's porn is romance novels and men's porn is videos, right? That's not the whole truth. The whole truth, and this is something we talk about a lot on this podcast, is that men and women's arousal is different. Men's arousal typically spikes very quickly. Women's arousal takes longer. It's like a slower buildup. Anticipation is a very key part of female arousal. This is why, guys, scheduling sex can be so wonderful for you, because when you schedule it, you can anticipate it and get ready for it. And so then you're already like a little bit aroused when you even get to the point of like coming together in the bedroom and like thinking about taking your clothes off. And like, that's amazing if we can already be at that point, because we have, in a healthy way, anticipated sex with our husband by like imagining it and getting ready for it and thinking about, Thursday night when we're going to come together.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like the books and the TV shows are giving us this narrative. They're giving us this context. They're giving us this story, which women's brains latch onto. We love stories. We love them. And this is why I recommend, if you're having a hard time focusing during sex, is tell a story with your husband. Tell a story that you guys are like in a, fancy hotel with these big poofy sheets and there's a fireplace and it's warm, and like tell a wonderful, fun story to keep you engaged if your mind is like wandering. These are really good things to do.
Yeah.
But if we are taking this story that's completely outside of our sexual relationship and we are allowing that to influence our sexual relationship, we're adding a third person into sex.
Yeah.
And that's real. I mean, if you just imagine putting a third person into your bedroom, that's wrong.
Yeah. And it's not even...
The book and the TV show are no different.
Yeah. It's not even just like, okay, you're just adding this third person like into like your marriage or your relationship here. It's really like you're going to someone else to get you ready for your husband, right? Like that's even more twisted when you really think about it, right? Like, hey, husband, you're not quite doing it for me. Let me just go to this guy, this thing, that'll get me ready. And then I'll come over to you and we can handle it. Right? Like, but you're essentially saying your husband's not enough.
That's really wrong.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You're essentially saying your husband isn't enough. And it's so bad, because in our culture, Bridgerton, totally normal to have watched Bridgerton. I can't tell you how many Catholic wives, like publicly, have talked about this TV show. I've heard podcast episodes where Catholic wives are talking about how fun the TV show is. And that is not okay. It is absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit more about like what is going on in our brains with these story-based pornography or the story-based smut, erotica, right? Is the female brain likes emotional safety. It latches on to relational dynamics. It latches on to anticipation, and it latches on to psychological buildup. And that's what we're getting in these story-based things. That's what we're getting in even this. So I'll explain what this minty romance thing is. So like the author kind of created this category of minty romance, saying that it's minty like a peppermint. So it's not spicy, but it's like it's just a little spice, right? That is, quote, okay. But it's not, because this book that I read was this like man and woman who, they weren't married, and they like really became very attracted to each other, and they kept putting themselves in near occasions of sin as adults. And I was like, no, you do not give your hotel room key to the woman that you're dating if you're like trying to not have sex before marriage. Like, what?
Yeah.
You can't do that. But then there were these scenes of just literally just the buildup to sex. And then they would stop themselves and be like, oh, no, wait, we're not going to have sex because we're not married. But all of that buildup was completely inappropriate for a non-married couple to be doing.
Yeah.
And it was completely inappropriate for me to be reading it and then like feeling all those feelings and like getting wrapped up in the story and getting turned on and things like that. And I read this book because I was like, oh, is there some amount of romance that's like okay for Catholics? And I read that book and I felt sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, this was awful. Because even though I was reading the book as like research, right? I still got wrapped up in it. Even though the whole time I was reading it, I was going, this is wrong. I had to finish the book.
Yeah.
Right? I got that wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
I had to know what happened. I had to know the story. I had to, like, I stayed up like all night one night finishing the book. I mean, that's how bad it was. I got very wrapped up in this.
And then it got one of your for research only stamps.
Oh, man. Well, I got it on my Kindle, so I can't really like stamp my Kindle. I know. But man, if I had that in print.
research
only. Heretical content. Actually, I wouldn't say there was heretical content in there, but for research only, for sure.
Yeah.
Imagination is a key in these. Because when we're reading something or we're like following a story, the brain is, particularly when we're reading something, the brain is generating imagery. And stories that are told are never told exactly how they happen, right? So like if I was going to tell you a story about how I went to the grocery store yesterday, it would take me like 2 minutes to tell you the story of how I got there and I pulled my kids out of the car and we went into the grocery store and what we bought, right? But like that whole process actually took 45 minutes.
Yeah.
When we tell stories, a lot of things get skipped. And that's the case for verbal stories, for written stories, and for like stories on TV shows, right? We watch an episode that's 30 minutes long, but it took a whole day for the episode to happen. Because of that, our brain fills in emotional tone and details ourselves. So we actually participate in the story in a very active way, even if it's something that we're watching. Like our brain is really participating in that. And that imagination is like the female brain is the most powerful sex organ.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're like adding our imagination into these like romance stories, we're activating parts that like, we're activating arousal that should be saved for our husband. Like our husband should be the one arousing us and our thinking about our husband and our imagining of our husband.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like, I don't know, if anyone's like me, it doesn't matter whether it's, like this, smut we're talking about, like, I mean, again, I don't tend to watch it because I actually get like viscerally uncomfortable.
Agreed.
Yeah. But like, I remember watching The Hunger Games, right? And I remember going to the theater and watching it. I mean, I do this with movies all the time, particularly if I'm watching them in the movie theater, right? And they're like big screen, like you're just like surround sound, like you're really immersed. I consistently, especially if it's something that's a little more tense, have to ground myself while I'm watching it, right? Like during the Hunger Games, my anxiety, my stress, I could feel it rising. And I would have to physically look around and remind myself, you're in a movie theater. Like, you're not there. You're not in this movie, right? Like that, again, I'm doing that with just any sort of show because like Alan's saying, like, I get really attached to these characters. I get invested in the story, right? That, like, now take that and now you're watching these things or reading these things, right, that we're talking about here. I'll even give you an innocent one. P.S. I Love You. Does anyone remember that from like the early 2000s? P.S. I Love You with Hilary Swank and Gerard Butler. Holy cow, that movie was such a hit when I was in college. And I remember dating my now husband when it came out, going to see it in theaters and leaving being like, I want to go make out with my husband or then boyfriend, right? Like, I want to. And there was absolutely no like smut in that, right? Like that was, but it's this situation of exactly like you're saying, like this like relational sort of component, right? Where you get really into it, like you dive into it, you feel immersed in it, right? That all of a sudden what's happening on the screen, you feel like is happening to you. Right. And again, that's like a really innocent example. Like there's not anything inappropriate. It's actually just very loving. Right? Like the whole story is very loving, but still the romance that's in it, you become invested in. So when you heighten those stakes, it just becomes like female porn, right? Like it's just appealing to the things that raise female desire, whether it's pornographic or not pornographic. And I think no matter what, we have to be careful with those things, exactly like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to be careful. We have to be careful with the rom-coms.
Yeah.
Too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, and ladies, I'm serious. And no, I don't think that we're being prudish.
Yeah.
Because I know that some of you are thinking
100%.
that. And you're like, oh, should we just like not be watching anything? Maybe.
Maybe
we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't be watching anything that secular Hollywood puts out. Because we know that the devil has his hands in it and is twisting it.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some good things. And yeah, there's some lovely storylines. And yeah, there's some good people in Hollywood. But ladies, let's reiterate the problem here. The problem is that we are going to an external source to get ourselves turned on and interested in our husbands. We are telling our husband with our actions and our thoughts that he's not enough. Yeah. That is not okay. The only person that you can tell your husband that he's not enough in comparison to is Jesus Christ. And Jesus is not in these stories.
Yeah.
Like, this is serious. This is a really big deal. And I have to say, like, I did not have this opinion 5 years ago. I actually like regularly would kind of, I would read a regular fiction novel that had, some kind of like character development and some pursuit and some longing and some emotional stakes. And it would get me really like excited to go have sex with my husband. And then I'd go have sex and it felt fine, right? That felt good because it was like, oh, I'm excited to have sex with my husband. But my husband wasn't the catalyst for that.
Yeah.
And that's not okay because sexual desire is built for marriage. Sexual arousal is built for the marital act. It's not built for a book. It's not built for someone else giving that to us.
Yeah.
And then we go to our husband. I remember this was just a couple weeks ago. I was just on Instagram and you guys, my Instagram algorithm is like the weirdest algorithm ever because of what I talk about. It's so weird.
Like
Instagram has no idea what I'm actually interested in. And it was this video of like this woman was reading one of those, the like Court of Thorn and Roses or Wings and Fire.
Yeah.
I don't know what those books are. I'm sorry. I think
it's like Sarah Maas or something, right? Is the author?
Yeah. Something like that. But it was like, and the guy on this, so it's like this clip of his wife reading one of those books, and then it like flips to the guy's face, and like on the screen is like, how am I supposed to compare to like a ripped guy who has wings and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And like, just like went through all the things of like the main male character in this book. And like, it was supposed to be funny. And a lot of people found the reel very funny. I found it completely and utterly disturbing because this man was not seeing the massive problem that was happening in his marriage is that he can't compare to this fictional character. And he's just letting that happen. And he's like, oh, that's just part of life.
Yeah.
That's just like what women read. No, it's not. And ladies, we have to just stop. And this is hard because those stories look fun. Okay. I want to read the stories. I like the feeling of getting wrapped up in them. Everybody talks about Bridgerton. It sounds like a fun story. I want to know what happens. I really, really do. And it is a sacrifice to say no.
Yeah.
Because I recognize that that is not healthy. And here's the real kicker. Is watching Bridgerton, do you want to stand in front of Jesus Christ after you die and say, yeah, I watched Bridgerton and I loved it? Do you want to tell him that? Do you? Do you really want to tell Jesus that? Because I don't think you do.
Yeah.
And Jesus doesn't want you to. And it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. This is not small. Because like our society has just like so normalized it.
Yeah.
You know, like pornography, visual pornography as a category is generally frowned upon. Right? There's sects of the secular culture that are like, oh, it's so good. Like, just do it. It's fine. Right? But generally it's frowned upon. And particularly in the Catholic circles, it is totally frowned upon. We recognize it as a problem. But what I'm seeing with these like romance novels and these stories is that especially even in the Catholic circles, they are not frowned upon. They're like encouraged. And it's like, oh, it's just so fun.
Yeah.
And that is not okay.
Yeah. I will say that if this is something that you've never considered and you're kind of like, we're like peeing in your Cheerios now, if you will, you're just kind of like, wait a minute. I don't know. I just challenge you to take stock of your emotions the next time you do watch or read something like this, right? Because I think there's going to be a lot of people listening to this right now that are just like, okay, these two are prudes. I know they said they're not, but they are. And this doesn't change what I consume, okay? Next time you go and consume it, just take stock. How are you feeling? Are you feeling turned on? And if you are, recognize where that came from, right? Like that's all we're saying, right? These stories are great. They're fun. They're enticing. Like we want them, and everybody else is consuming them. So why can't we as adults, right?
Yeah. And like, okay, let's go there. Everybody else was smoking in the 80s.
Yeah.
Everybody else was. Everybody was.
Yeah.
It was totally normal. It was a great way to lose weight.
Yep.
It felt good. You felt less stressed. What's wrong with smoking? What's wrong with it? Everybody's doing it. It's fine.
It's fine. It's no big deal.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
It's the same problem.
It's the same.
You guys, it's the same thing. Everybody's doing it is not an excuse for it being okay. And I want to address one more thing because I remember the last time I talked about this, I got like an email or like a comment on social media, and it was just like, well, but if I'm reading this book and I'm imagining that the guy is my husband, like, how is that a problem? It's a problem because it's not your husband.
Yeah.
It's a problem because a third person wrote it. It's a problem because it's not coming from your own imagination that God gave you, your own creativity that God gave you to build anticipation for having sex with your husband. So if you want to argue that, then I've got an awesome solution for you. Write the story yourself.
There you go.
Write it down yourself. Build the anticipation for your own marriage. And that's not that's not something to be shared outside of your marriage. Like, this is a story for you and your husband. That would be totally appropriate.
Yeah.
That would maybe be really fun if you guys wrote it together. Like, absolutely. If you like the stories, write it yourself about you and your husband.
Yeah.
Don't read somebody else's smut and bring it into your marriage.
And let's also answer that question as well by flipping the script. Okay. So we get invested in these stories and the narratives, right? While our husbands are more visual, right? Like that's why men stereotypically are much more susceptible to porn, right? They're not the only ones, but they're much more susceptible because it's visual, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a woman walking down the street who's just like fine. And your husband notices her from behind and says, oh, well, it's okay because I'm imagining she's my wife. Like, come on.
That doesn't feel good.
That does not feel good.
Well, I mean, flip it even more. I thought this was where you were going to go. Okay, he's watching pornography and he's like, oh, it's fine because I'm imagining it's you. No. It's
obviously
That's
not okay.
It's obviously not okay.
Obviously not
all right?
okay.
So,
yeah.
And here's the difference between like they say this, like, men are visual, right? So pornography like attracts them more. It's that pornography, visual pornography is like this instant spike. It's a lot like the male arousal curve. Written erotica and these like story-based shows are slow. They have buildup. They are anticipatory. It mirrors the female arousal curve.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are two very different things, but so are the arousal curves of men. So these, in my eyes, are identical things. Okay, written erotica and pornography, they're the same. They're just attacking from different angles. And so we have to see it for what it is and just know that and just say no to it and recognize that it's just really it's not healthy. It's not good.
Thanks so much for listening. If you have ever gotten any value from this podcast, could you do me a favor really quick? Go into the podcast app that you are listening in, and if it gives you an option to rate and review, please rate and review this podcast. It helps us so much in reaching new listeners and spreading the word about this podcast. Thanks so much for listening.